facts. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Hey, welcome to the first episode, Trudging with the Millers. You know, addiction didn't just affect one person in this family, it affected all of us. And recovery didn't just change one of us either, it changed the whole family. Tonight, we're going to introduce ourselves and we're going to talk about why we decided to do this show and opening up about what healing has looked like in our home. And because we are live tonight, we will be taking questions from the audience, and I will post those as they pop up. I did not change that. That's okay. But welcome, everybody. I'm Dion. We have my lovely wife, Shannan. Shannan, you want to say hello?
Hello.
And, of course, my daughter, Keirah, which I'm sure several of you have met before.
Hi, guys.
Hello. So we decided to, well, you know, this kind of been months in the making. And, you know, our family has been through a lot, not just with my alcoholism, but in our own lives and things like that. And, you know, alcoholism is a family disease. And we are unscripted here, so it may feel a little weird or whatever, but the conversation will kind of get started. Shannan or Keirah, was there anything you wanted to say before we kind of got to things?
I don't know.
Not yet.
Let me ask you this, and Keirah, you can go first on this question, and then Shannan, why did you agree to do this?
Well, I mean, I've been through my own trials and tribulations in life, and going through AA, sobriety. I feel like I have enough experience under my belt, not even just from sobriety, but just life itself, to help other people, just by being able to be relatable. I think a lot of people are looking for community right now, and authenticity, and that's what I want to put out into the world. And so figured, screw it, why not? What's the worst that can go wrong is helping someone. Wow, that sucks. So that's really the reason why. And, you know, it's just another step forward. I think I've gotten complacent in terms of business things, and this is kind of the first step of, you know, trying to do that. God's kind of put a few things in my life, and I realized, you know what, it's time to actually take one of these opportunities and actually do it instead of just say I'm going to do it. So
yeah, awesome. Well, I'm glad that it did happen, that it did turn out this way, and we'll get more into our story and things like that. Tonight's more of an introduction. Shannan, why did you agree to do this, besides the fact that your husband twisted your arm to do it?
I was just going to say, because you told me to. No, just kidding. I am more in the background as an observer. I've never been actually alcoholic or addicted to any kind of drugs, but I have had multiple people in my life that are. And I've learned how to love those people through who they truly are, not what their addiction is. And it was actually your mother who taught me unconditional love. And I took that took that with me throughout my life until it came full circle back to you again. And then as far as my bonus children, they had to deal with everything just as much as I did. And Keirah being one of them, we went through everything. We had things together. There were times when you went to the hospital where she crawled into bed with me and we just held each other all night. So other people need to know that it is able to come through it. And even if you slip or relapse multiple times, it's still possible to have sobriety.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that.
And you both experienced watching me slip and whether we're going to call it a slip or a relapse. In this case, they were slips, I think, but multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, I didn't know if I was ever going to get sober. And Shannan, you've really helped me with figuring out time, things like that. Even a couple of weeks ago, we were talking, and it wasn't 2 years that I was trying to get sober. It was closer to 4. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. What the fuck's wrong with me? All right. But the reason I brought that up is because I never stopped trying. I kept trying and trying. I knew that eventually it was going to need to stick. And so folks, this is just really, it's hard to talk about and it's hard to get things started with this stuff. So here's another great question. Why talk about the family healing publicly? Why would we want to do that? What do you think, Shannan?
There's not enough of it out there.
Wow. I don't even think we need to say anything.
I have never heard of another family. I mean, I'm sure there is because I'm not huge on computers and stuff like that and doing research on that, but I haven't heard of any in my time with you of any families showing what can be overcome, how they got through it and stuff like that.
Yeah. What do you think, Keirah? Or are you doing it publicly?
I mean, kind of piggybacking off of what she's saying is like, there's not enough of it out there. And again, a lot of people are looking for community and honestly, all people really need is a glimpse of hope. Like, I'm not alone. Because I feel like a lot of people go through things in life thinking that there's only people that are experiencing them. And then they finally are able to network or get out there and talk to people and find out that, oh, wow, there's a lot of people experiencing this. But not only that, putting ourselves out there may help other families get through it. Us as a family have been through hell and back.
We have.
And, to be able to show that perseverance, might give other families hope to be like, you know what? If they can do it, we can do it too. So
yeah, that's a really good point. About what we're doing is we're giving hope. All right, and we apologize about that. A cat was knocking into the microphone. Jack is kind of an insistent little fuck. So I'm going to read something out of the big book real quick. This is kind of what I think and why we're doing this. It says, the pain, and this comes out of the family afterward, right? This painful past may be of infinite value to other families still struggling with their problem. And that's what you two were just talking about. We think that each family who has been relieved owes something to those who have not. Now, do you two feel like you owe? Does it feel like a responsibility? How do you feel about that? Because I don't feel like I owe as much as I like doing it. I like helping. And we're all kind of that way. We all have servants' hearts, and all of our kids are that way too. Do you feel like you owe to other families, Shannan?
I do not.
Okay.
I just want to help because I'm always in the background doing all the things that, not that I need recognition. However, people don't know my story, so therefore it can help them. as much as I don't like to be put on the spot, I figured it was time to help other wives and children and grandchildren and nieces all throughout that need some sort of reassurance that it'll all be okay.
So more like a responsibility more than like an of penance or something like that.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah. How do you feel about that, Keirah?
I mean, I'm just a person that likes helping people. I think it's a fault of mine to a point sometimes where it's like people pleaser almost, and I'm like,
We don't know anything about that here.
no. I didn't know what boundaries were for the longest time, but yeah, I mean, for me, it's just helping. I'm sure that there's times where I do feel obligated, but
Mhm.
it still comes from a place of like, it still comes from the heart. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It goes on to say, and when the occasion requires each member of the family, each member of it should be only too willing to bring former mistakes, no matter how grievous, out of their hiding place. Showing others who suffer how we were giving help is the very thing which makes life seem so worthwhile to us now. Cling to the thought that in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have, the key to life and happiness for others. With it, you can avert misery and death for others, right? So we've had a little bit of time to think about what we're going to say. So I'm going to open this up a little bit and kind of relieve control of asking the questions and things like that. Keirah, was there something that in particular that you might have wanted to speak about tonight? Was there something that was kind of pertinent while you were thinking about doing this that you wanted to bring up?
not necessarily, just because it's been kind of a wild week.
Okay, that's fair. Haven't had much time to think
I
about
have
it.
not had any time. Both the kids have been sick, so
Yeah, I mean, puking machines,
mm,
right?
yeah.
Well, how about you, Shannan? Is there anything that you've kind of been thinking of this week that you might want to bring up? If not, that's okay.
Only that the thing that I say every time I actually go to an in-person meeting with you is, even the person that's been there with a day, I'm proud of you.
Mm, yeah,
Because it takes so much courage, even just one day. And
yeah.
then you put all those days together and you think about it, and it seems overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But again, one day at a time. And somebody that doesn't even know you can be proud of you. Because I know from watching you, from watching family members go through it, how hard it really is. And it may seem stupid that somebody you don't know is proud of you, but I am.
Yeah. And that's a great segue, actually, to, what was the hardest part through all this? What was the hardest part for everybody? And, that could be your alcoholism, my alcoholism, just the dynamic. Maybe we should probably give a little bit of background on what we are. Is that fair? So,
Yeah.
and this is the short story. Shannan was my girlfriend when I was actually. I'm gonna let you explain that part because you remember the dates much better than I do.
Well, what if I contradict you?
Why don't you? Then I guess they know I'm lying. And I'll make an amends, I guess. But you want to tell the story of kind of how we met?
On my 17th birthday at Skipper's, you approached me, asked for my number, and I said no.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I didn't want to. It's because I had a very bad home life and I wasn't allowed to give out my number.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, I found out that you went through the manager's files and found my address and my phone number and followed me home. So
I did all of those things. You want to know why? Have I ever told you why?
I've heard it many times, but I don't think you've told me specifically.
Because I knew you were supposed to be in my life. I don't know what it was. Just something. The moment I saw you, I knew you were supposed to be in my life.
It was the same. It was the same for me, but I didn't recognize it for what it was. It scared me. It was something that scared me.
Sure.
Which was easier to say no until you pursued it.
And I took that a little personally. Um, so finally, we did finally start dating, and what would happen is Dion's drinking would get out of control, and I would end up on Skid Row.
During that time, I never saw you drunk. Never. I only heard you drunk when you called from somebody's house saying you woke up in their bathtub.
Yep, that happened. I remember that phone call. It was from the Dairy Queen in Littleton over there off Broadway next to the bowling alley. I remember exactly where that payphone was, and I remember that conversation too.
And
I believe I
that's
was
when
also covered in urine.
that's when I also told you I have this in my family and I can't do it
Yeah.
unless you do something. And it was 2 weeks later you called me and said, I'm in a rehab. So I said, okay.
So even from the beginning, you had some of those skills of, hey, this is not something I'm willing to go through. And I'm happy to tell that story real quick. March 16th, 1989, some friends told me that they didn't want me hanging out anymore. And they said, Dion, you gotta go downtown and get some help. You gotta go find a bed at Jesus Saves. So I went downtown. I was walking down the street. I just gotten past 20th Avenue. I was on Lord Street, and I'm walking down, and I noticed that there was this guy in front of me. He's holding a bag from 7-Eleven, and he had a six-pack, right? And he had a six-pack, and so I was kind of wondering about that. But at one point, he turned around and he said, "Are you okay?" And I told him, "No, I'm not. I'm out here on the streets. I've got a drinking problem. I don't know what to do." And I was scared. I was scared. I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life. And he said, "Come with me." And he walked towards this dark building. But as soon as he opened the door, it was like this flood of light just came out. There's this flood of light. I saw the AA symbol up on the wall, and I thought to myself, well, fuck, they got me again, because it wasn't the first time. Right? So that's how I got into the Phoenix concept, and that's what we're talking about. And I did stay almost the whole year. And eventually we did break up. We're not going to go into that sad story tonight. We will tell it sometime, but I always get in trouble when we tell it, so I don't feel like telling it tonight. So to fast forward, when I was 40 years old, 39 years old, I got a Facebook request from Shannan, and I wasn't going to take it. And, because I had moved out to California to drink myself to death. That was the thing. I took that friend request, and 2 weeks later we were going out again. I moved back to Colorado, and I'm not going to tell the rest of the story on that, but that kind of tells you how Shannan and I, our relationship a little bit. Now during that, you brought my kids back into my life, and that's kind of what made me start to want to change. And I started drinking, but I'd like to bring Keirah in at this point. When I came back into your life when I was 40 years old, and my drinking was at paramount, proportions at that time. I mean, you guys saw me at my worst, at my very, very worst. How was that for you, sweetie?
I think it was bittersweet, because I was very much excited to have that relationship again. I was like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
You're 11.
Yeah, something like that. It was a year of going in, it was like the summer of 5th grade going into 6th or something. But not only that, I was able to, meet my brother again, and it felt like, damn, finally something's giving. I'm able to have the brother that I wanted, the father that I wanted. And I did get that to an extent. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely, it was hard. But me and Megan got really close during that time. And even though we went through a lot with you during that time and we saw a lot, I see us coming out the other side of it and being stronger than ever. So yeah,
I think
it made it for a rough teenagehood. Made me rebel a lot. I didn't care.
Mhm.
My mom could not control me, and it was a lot.
Yeah,
Going back and forth between my mom and your house and coming to your house to get away from my mom, and then, dealing with that. And it was good to have you in my life, but it was still lonely at the time because you were still drinking.
yeah, because I was around physically, but emotionally, I was
Mhm.
pretty unavailable.
Yeah.
I was almost always in my room drinking.
Yep.
Um, and then at one point, I started to get sober, and we asked you to go to Alateen. You want to tell how? Yeah, because I like how you explain it, but go all the way through and how you feel about it now too. I'm going to mute and keep some cats out of the room.
Yeah. So, yeah, I remember being at the house in the townhouse in Arvada, and a lot of that time period is all very like jumbled. So I don't necessarily remember exact timelines, but I'm pretty sure it was during that house is when we were kind of forced to go to Alateen. And so we would go, me and Megan would go to Alateen, and me and her would bitch about it the entire time. We fucking hated it. We thought it was stupid. And the questions of like, so how do you feel about this was like, my dad's a drunk. What else the fuck do you want me to say? Like, what? You're dumb. Nothing's changing. So yeah, I don't know. It was stupid. And I've gone to Al-Anon meetings and AA meetings during that time, I believe. I think I've been to all three of them when I was a teenager, and I'm just fucking hated it.
Yeah.
I'm very much against it. Was like, this shit don't work. Hated it. So, I found myself pretty much in the same position as my dad. I got to an age where I started drinking, which really started around 18. And for me, it was just like, you know what? I'm a young mom, and I'm gonna have my fun when I can. And I can drink here and there. It wasn't really even necessarily a problem. The nights that I would drink for birthdays or whatever, I would get fucked up, but it wasn't really affecting my life that bad. So started hanging out with the wrong people and went through a lot of trauma, and pretty became an alcoholic myself. I tried to get myself sober for since like 2020. I did the math the other day, and it was like since 2022 is when I really started to be like,
Mm.
I might be an alcoholic. But I was still more so in denial. So for 3 years, I tried to get myself sober. There were times where I was sober for a week, which was most times, and other times I was able to get to like a month, maybe two. And it just got to a point where I was so deep into my addiction that I had no other choice. AA was my absolute last resort.
Yeah.
And I called up my dad drunk as fuck and crying and said, I need fucking help. And he came and got me that same day. Shannan took my kids, and I detoxed in his basement for 4 days and went to my first meeting and cried about it. And, had some fuck ups along the way. I had a relapse, but, I'm almost 7 months sober now. So I can't really shit on AA at this point. It's the one thing that's keeping me sober. The
Uh,
only thing that's worked.
it's funny because, well, I'd say more, not really funny, but more ironic. Because I wasn't forced to go to Alateen, but I did go to Alateen at about the same age. But I did so much partying and drinking in Alateen. So I'm glad you didn't go through it. I went to an Alateen conference once for the weekend, and I took a case of beer with me. I got, and I got a lot of people drunk that weekend.
I also
I also had a English accent that nobody bought it. What were you saying, Shannon?
I was just going to say, I also went through Alateen, and it was my stepdad and my aunt directly at the time in my life. And I enjoyed it because I didn't have any friends because of my family.
You found where you belong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go. And then I got together with you the first time and wanted to go to support you in the ways that I could, because I wasn't allowed into the AA groups.
Yeah.
I could only go into the Alateen. So that's where my beginning started, and where, like I said, your mom told me about the unconditional love, and I learned it, and it stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah. When I got sober the first time, you got pretty close with my sister Brandy and my mom. And yeah.
I went to a Mensa meeting with your mom and Brandy without you.
What?
And Trevor was the reason we were going.
Oh, okay. Well, at least it wasn't about me that time. You know, share the consequences here a little bit. Yeah, we have been, and we'll start working on other topics and stuff. But for Keirah, thank you for telling us that, and being a part of that. Our relationship hasn't always been the best. I would say it's the best it's ever been now. But I just got to a point, for those 4 years I was trying, I really did want to quit drinking. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I found out some other mental illnesses that was going on too, that I think really exacerbated it. But, I remember the day that I got out of detox and I came home. I looked into Shannan's eyes. I knew she was in pain. I knew everything going on was my fault, or at least that's what I was thinking. And that was it for me. And my challenge from there was to become a better person. But even that in and of itself would take years. That would take years to accomplish. I'm not sure but the best way to say this, because Keirah, we've always been close. When we're getting along, we've always been very close. We think alike, we talk alike. Thankfully, you got your mom's looks, because I would not make a very good looking girl. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. And your mom's a great looking lady. So, but our relationship was kind of on, off. Like when I was drinking, you weren't drinking. And then when I quit drinking, you kind of started drinking. Do you think that kind of disrupted our relationship? And I'm not putting anything on you, because I'm the adult, I'm the father here. So I'm going to take all the blame. I'm going to take my side, right? How do you feel about that? It's just a dynamic I kind of saw with us, and maybe we can bring it up and other people might be able to relate to it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely switched places there for a while. And I think it's kind of ironic how that happened. But yeah, I mean, my drinking really just fucked up a lot of relationships. And, looking back on that, and we've talked about it, owning up to my side and cleaning up my side of the street, is like, I was not innocent in that by any means, but I think for me, it was more so I was just angry at you, and I was angry at the world and angry at my mom, and, just going through all of these emotions and not knowing how to emotionally regulate. So yeah, that was the time. Even up until, less than a year ago, I look back and I'm like, damn, I was actually kind of a menace. Yeah. So there's definitely, some guilt there that I still have to work through, but I definitely take blame for some of it, because, some things that I did and said towards you were, unnecessary.
Okay.
I remember being out in Oregon, and that's when I really kind of cut you off. And you had reached out a couple times, and I sent a pretty terrible song and how I was feeling. So yeah, I mean, my alcoholism absolutely affected our relationship, and I think now that I am sober, we're able to kind of come together more than we ever have.
Hmm.
So alcohol really was just a poison in all of our lives,
Yeah.
changes who we are.
Yeah. And because what happened is we ended up sitting down about a year and a half ago. And what we did is I said, we're going to take however long, and you're going to tell me everything that you're upset about. And my job is to shut up and listen. It was probably one of the hardest talks I've ever had in my life. But it was hard because it was true. But since that time, you and I have become very close.
Hmm.
So, we talked about these hard things. We got to, but I had to own up to what I did. And you had every right to be angry with me. You did. You had every right to be angry with me. I also appreciate the fact that you understood that people can change and that they can become different people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I'm really glad that our relationship has changed. Um, that was the other reason why I wanted to do this. Because I'm kind of selfish, right?
Really?
And I wanted more time with my daughter. That was one of the reasons but I had to wait till you were ready. And, now that you've completed a lot more, I kind of felt like you were there. Uh,
Yeah.
so thank you for saying that out loud. This stuff isn't easy to talk about. Even I'm kind of choking up here.
Yeah.
We're just gonna take just a second here, and one of the reasons that we're doing this show is because addiction affects families everywhere. If you believe conversations like this help families heal, then you can help us keep them going. I'm going to be placing some donation links in the description if you'd like to support the work we are doing. A portion of the proceeds goes directly to the Salvation Army Recovery Program in Denver and helps this show keep going. I will be putting those links into chat. So actually, they'll be in the description when I send them out. So that is that. Let's we've been talking about some of the harder things, and what we do is we share what it was like, what happened, and what it was like. Now we've kind of shared what it was like. Um, Here's another great question: what changed when recovery entered the family? Shannon, I'm going to ask you that first because you've probably seen more. What are some of the changes that you saw in the family when we all decided, hey, alcohol is not really the way we should be going?
That's kind of a hard question because the changes come slowly and gradually.
Yeah.
Because it's not like one day you're done drinking and then it's all perfect. It's never going to be that way. And you have to have patience, and you have to notice the little things that change to begin with. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself nuts waiting for this big, huge, oh my God, they're just like total opposite person. No, it doesn't happen like that. There was more honesty to start with, and it had to be multitudes of that honesty before you stop second guessing your person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is learning how to trust again after all the worry, the is it really going to be this time?
Yeah.
Is it not? You have to learn how to trust and not give up.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of people out there, I have a certain I don't know the word I'm looking for. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I have this, I don't even know where I was going. A lot of people stop and lose and tell their person, get out of here. I'm done. We're over. We're done.
Yeah.
I had, from our past together, I knew what it was like then. I knew what it was like now, but I also knew who you could be.
Yes. That's what you used to bring up too.
And
What you would say to me.
yes, we did get to a point where I said, okay, I'm not breaking up with you, but you need to get out of this house.
Mm-hmm.
But I still held on to what I knew was there. I can't explain my heart, but I always have
It's
trouble
okay.
putting this into words.
It's hard to put this stuff and put it into words. So you're doing great. Yeah.
From the time I met you, I knew I loved you. And they're really, even though I was married to somebody else, yes, I did love him, but you have always had my heart. And it gave me the hope that I needed to carry on till you got to now.
Yeah.
Did that even answer your question? I just go on a
Absolutely, it
total
did.
other tangent.
It isn't really answering my question as much as what your experience was. So there's real no wrong answer. But yeah, that's certainly, and because we alcoholics, one big thing we deal with is trust. And, we start to trust ourselves after a few months, things like that. But the people in our lives is going to take a lot longer. How long do you think it took before you could trust me to walk out of the house by myself with $100 and come back sober?
Between 1 and 2 years.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because during your trying to get sober, you did go to AA. You did do this. There were times where you had 2 months. You had 3 months here. One time you had 6 months. There was even a time where you had
a
1
year.
year.
Yeah.
And because of that, it took me longer than that year to start trusting again.
Mm-hmm. That's sure.
Because I couldn't let go
You had
of
to wait till that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a year. He drank on it last time. Why would the pattern be any different?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
a hard one.
You're just asking about money. So I would say between a year and 2 years. Other things, it took a little bit longer, but we don't need to get into those right now.
We'll save it for another episode. We don't want to give away all of our secrets on the first episode.
Right.
Right. How about
Gotta keep them coming back.
what changes have you seen in your, not necessarily with us, but maybe with your kids and your mom and other people in your life? What changes have you kind of seen since you decided to take this road of recovery?
I've seen a lot of differences.
Especially in the kids.
Oh yeah. That's kind of a two-parter because not only was it due to my drinking, but it was due to past relationships that I was in.
Okay.
And so for the children, it was kind of a double whammy for them. And yeah. So me getting sober, that was imperative to be able to be emotionally available to not only heal myself so I could learn how to help the kids heal, but just to be there emotionally for them as well.
Yeah.
So mine and the kids' relationship is so different. Things have done a complete 180 and I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful for my mom, being here to help me with things and being that outside perspective of like, maybe we could go about this a different way,
Kind of nudge you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've noticed my patience is much more, I have a lot more patience and I don't yell at the kids really anymore.
One thing I've noticed that I haven't heard you raise your voice to them in a few months.
Yeah. So that was a really hard one for me because my emotions were spiraling all the time and I was stressed out and going through my own healing and relationships or whatever. So really being able to realize that yelling does absolutely nothing for anybody.
Yeah.
If anything, it's triggering myself, it's triggering for the kids. And what is it actually doing? It is just increasing the heightened emotions, and that's not what I want. So
Yeah.
I've really, really worked hard on that. Definitely there's times where I do raise my voice a little bit when I'm at my wit's end.
Sure.
Um, but really, I've created a lot of trust with them. They have flourished in terms of just being able to be themselves again,
Mhm.
and not being shut down for every little thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're just amazing kids. They're flourishing in school.
Yay.
They have been sick this week, and they have taken the initiative to be. I'm sure they're kind of using schoolwork just to be on their iPads, but they're getting their schoolwork done. They're asking me for help to do their schoolwork that they don't understand. They're doing their homework, and yeah, I've just noticed my anger, my temperament has come down a little bit. Michelle said she noticed I stopped talking
Yeah,
about
that's what I was
fast
talking
drivers.
about.
She told me that not too long ago, and I was like, you know what? You're so right. I don't really bring that up anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm finding more peace in my life. I'm finding that I want to be around my children. Not that I didn't before, but I just didn't have the fucking capacity for it.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I wasn't emotionally available for a
Right.
little bit. Yeah.
Right. And there's just been a lot of trust. We laugh together. I'm having fun with them. Like we're actually living. I'm actually wanting to get outside of the house
Yeah.
and take them places and not be stuck in the
And not be
damn room all the
isolated because
time.
you're hungover and can't go anywhere because the room
Yep.
has been in.
Yep.
One of the big things that I've noticed on Sundays, they don't ask where you are anymore.
Really?
Yeah, in the beginning was, when's mom going to be here? When's mom going to be here? And they would like count it down. Now,
Really?
yeah, they stopped asking.
Yeah. I notice I get there and they're like, oh, hey. They don't even say hi to me. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm chopped liver now.
Yeah.
But that means that they trust me that I'm going to come back.
They know that you're going to show up and they're going to have their mom.
Yes.
And that's a big accomplishment. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, they're not basing their lives and their connection with me based off of anxiety. That's based off of trust. And that could make me tear up with how far me and them have come. But even with my mom, she had to see a really bad side of me during my last relapse. And I've changed that relationship as well. Me and my mom didn't have the best relationship when I was growing up. We butted heads.
Yeah.
When we fought, it was bad.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, there were times you came over to our house because of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, me and her are a freaking team. Like, we work together extremely well now.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm so glad to hear that you two are getting, because, I mean, that's your mom. And yeah. So I'm really glad to hear that your guys' relationship is getting better. Because it tells you that the program's working. I mean, all that's going to do is make lives even better.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super happy to see where the kids are at nowadays. And, it really is amazing to see, where they are, because they're a direct reflection of their parents. And, even with their fighting and stuff like that has gotten better. Their attitudes are better. And, of course they're going to be kids and have their days, but, it's really amazing to see. I've seen the light come back into their eyes, and it's, I'm truly grateful for that.
Even when you're not around, we see changes, like picking, like the past month or so, picking up after themselves without being asked to before you get there.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, time to get this done. And they do it.
Not getting them to go to bed is still, but
I know.
Yeah.
They need it's the TV. If you give them a set time of 2 movies at a certain time, they'll go to bed.
Well, okay, I'll have to do that next time then.
Because I know Allie, she'll be up until 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, so what time did you go to bed last night? She's like, Like 2 a.m. And I'm like, we should probably not do that.
Gotta teach that kid how to lie here and there.
No, she's sneaky. I don't need her. No, I've
No,
already had problems with her lying.
yeah, we don't need her being sneaky. She's
No, she is very sneaky.
smart.
Khaleesi doesn't care. She'll do it out in the open. She don't care. Allie's
Yeah,
sneaky.
yeah. Khaleesi's more like you and me, where we just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
My mom told me this story. I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I was running up and down the hallway, and she says, "Dion, if you keep running up and down the hallway, I'm going to charge you a dime every time." I ran into my room. I grabbed my piggy bank. I gave it to her, and I kept running up and down the hallway.
Dude, that's something that Khaleesi would totally do.
Absolutely.
And it would backfire tremendously. It happens a lot, actually. There was actually one time where I told her, like, if you don't start listening, you're going to start doing push-ups. And she got down on the ground and she started doing them. And she's like, okay, I'm going to do 10. And then I'm going to do 16 or 10 sit-ups. And I was like, you know what? Just get up and go do your stuff. I was like, you are a psycho.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh. So
That's great.
one more question before we start kind of wrapping up here. What surprised you about the healing? You want to go first on this one, Keirah? Kind of been switching back and forth on you, so.
Honestly, I think the thing that surprised me the most about healing is how quickly my life has changed.
Yeah. Okay.
It's insane, honestly. I'm like, it's astounding to be where I'm at right now. To go from being so lonely, because that very first month that I was sober, I was off social media.
Yeah.
I did not have any friends at that point, and I just felt really fucking lonely. And so, started trying to seek out friends, and they were of the same types of people, and obviously that did not end well. So really taking it seriously and combining not only AA and my sponsor and meetings and stuff like that, but combining that with therapy and just really going balls to the wall with it and being like, this is serious, because if I don't take this seriously, the whole house is going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
Like, we could be homeless if I decided to drink again. Not really, but
and
like,
I think you learned your lesson before, right? When you had your last slip. I think that kind of solidified it for you too, that because it was right after that slip, you're like, no, I'm going to work the program. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And you haven't faltered since.
Yeah. And I refuse to, because even the times that I do think that, maybe having some FOMO or whatever it is, I don't necessarily even think about the instant gratification. I think about what's going to be happening in 3 weeks from now.
No.
What's the fallout of that? Because I could probably take a shot right now and, make it to where I'm taking it at 11:30, but see, even that thought process is a problem.
Yeah, it's still not connect. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that thought process. I could take that shot and be fine, but what about next weekend when I think I can get away with it? So it's just a healing that surprised me. The fact that I have gotten way closer to my higher power. My intuition, my gut feelings are on spot all the time now. I've learned discernment. I've found a really good group of people that have the same visions and goals as me and build me up instead of tearing me down. Kids are going to a great school. It's when I really look at the bigger picture, I am just like, wow. If I told myself a year ago where I would be now, I probably wouldn't believe myself. So, yeah.
It's one of those things, and that's why it's weird with trust, because AA is a catalyst, right? And it speeds up the progress, and the AA will do in months what it takes doctors and psychologists to do in years.
Right.
So we heal pretty quickly, considering. I mean, 7 months is a pretty long time, but compared to the rest of your life, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. I was thinking about it the other day. I went on to the Everything AA app, and it was 6 months, 20 something days. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, it does not feel like it's been almost 7 months. I was like, it was kind of like a out of body experience. I was like, what? So yeah,
Oh, I hear you. I'm still wrapping my head around coming up on 10 years.
I know. That's
Um,
amazing.
I don't know how.
I'm
I don't
wrapping
know
my head
how
around that
I don't know
too.
how it happened, you know. But Shannon, what were you surprised about when it came to healing? Was there anything that kind of surprised you? See, she's non-alcoholic, so she isn't surprised by a lot of stuff. We are, because it's normal for her, where us, we got to work towards it.
And you basically said it. There's
Oh, shit.
nothing really surprising because I've been around so many different people who have gotten sober.
Mm-hmm.
The most surprising thing, I guess, would be, I don't know. um, that nothing ever
Yeah.
happens. I, I lost all my
Yeah.
words.
Well, when you hang out with me for 15 years, nothing really surprises you much anymore. I think that's what you're.
It can be surprising finding out, even though I already knew about Keirah being full-blown alcoholic.
Mhm.
There were times where I told you that I could smell it on you, trying to give you a hint that either take care of it or it's going to get worse, but it didn't happen that way. But it was surprising to me, Keirah, that you came and said, I'm an alcoholic, because I didn't think you were, because you hid it that well. So I guess surprising to me would be the honesty that comes forth with saying that you're an alcoholic, and then all the honesty that just comes diarrheaing out of the mouth at that point from both of you. And me going, oh, hold on a second, you did what? That type of stuff.
All right. So what I'd like to do is, as we wrap up here, we plan on doing this once a month. Was that the plan? First
Yes.
Friday of each month, we will be on doing this. So if you have something that you would like us to talk about for the next one, so go ahead and start giving us some ideas, and we'll start working on that. Was there anything else that anybody really wanted to say before we wrap up?
Just that I'm really glad that we started doing this.
Yeah,
I'm super excited about it, and yeah.
cool. Shannon.
I'm not as nervous as I thought I would be.
I know, I feel like you did more talking than I did, which I was surprised by.
It's because when she gets nervous, she runs her mouth. So it's not usually.
Oh, shit.
Well, I think it helps that it's Keirah and I too, and we all talk a lot. So,
Yeah.
I am also excited about this because I think we're going to be able to help people with this. And even if we just help one person out of the whole thing, then it's great. But what I'm really excited about is that we're going to be closer together, and that's what I really want. I will be having a better relationship. And then that example is going to be passed on to the rest of the family, to the grandkids, and so on and so forth. We are breaking generational curses of anger and fear. All right. Now, you can't break alcoholism, but you can make it so they get here sooner. We can go for that. Or who knows, maybe times will change. I'd like to read something out of the big book before we wrap up, but I just want to make real quick. Was there anything else, Shannon or Keirah, that you wanted to say before we left?
I said it at the beginning about all the other alcoholics, but I didn't say it about you two. I am so incredibly proud of the two of you that it makes me come to tears almost daily when I think about where we were and where we are now. So I'm proud of you both.
Thank you.
in stereo. I am
All
too. I'm
together
very
now.
proud of our family. What were you saying, Keirah?
I said all together now.
All right. I think this is a great way to go out, and this is also out of the family afterward. We have been speaking to you. We have been speaking to you of serious, sometimes tragic things. We have been dealing with alcohol in its worst aspect, but we are not a glum lot. If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our existence, they wouldn't want it. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. We try not to indulge in the cynicisms over the state of the nations, nor do we carry the world's trouble on our shoulders. When we see a man sinking into the mire that is alcoholism, we give him first aid and place what we have at his disposal. For his sake, we do recount and almost relive the horrors of the past. But those of us who have tried to shoulder the entire burden and trouble of others are soon overcome by them. So we think cheerfulness and laughter make for usefulness. Outsiders are sometimes shocked when we burst into merriment over a seemingly tragic experience out of the past. But why shouldn't we laugh? We have recovered and been given the power to help others. And what a great reason to have a smile on your face. Um, this has been episode 1 of Trudging with the Millers. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is time for everybody to take
Sorry.
their meds in the Miller house. That's why our alarms are going off, because we're old and have to take our meds.
They're crazy pills.
What? Uh, and Harold says before we go here, you can't judge anyone's they're drinking. They have to find help. That's right. Alcoholism is the only alcoholism, drug addiction, self-diagnosis is the only true diagnosis. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. We love you. You know we do. Peace out. And remember, no one ever, ever,
Trudges.
ever